Hi everyone, welcome to this month's A Garden in Every Season tour. This month's tour we have two very special guests and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Mary Featherston. I am a junior horticulture student at Clemson University and it has been such a pleasure working here at the Highlands Biological Station this summer.
Hi, my name is Tasmia. I'm one of the garden assistants at the Botanical Garden this summer, and yeah, it's been such a great summer here.
Yeah, so these two folks are going to be the ones leading you all on this month's A Garden in Every Season tour, and we've had them since May. They've been so wonderful to have at the Botanical Garden, and I know that they're both very excited to show you all their insights and what they've seen and so far.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day, so let's get started. The first plant we're going to be looking at today is right at our garden entrance, and it's these wood asters that have these really beautiful clusters of white flowers. As a member of the aster family, their inflorescence is made up of disc flowers and ray flowers. Those white ray flowers act as a showy attractor for pollinators, and those disc flowers are what you're seeing transform from that yellow color before pollination to a red/purpley color after pollination. Looking at the toothed heart-shaped leaves, it is not a question as to why these plants are commonly referred to as the heart-shaped wood aster. As I was admiring the wood asters, I came across this little guy, a nice climbing and trailing vine, this yellow passion flower that has these really nice, wide, shallowly lobed leaves. It is the northernmost species of passion flower, and it can handle extremely low, harsh winter temperatures, even into the negatives, which explains why it can do well here. This is a really special plant we wanted to talk about, our pipevine. So it has these beautiful heart-shaped leaves, and as you guys can see, and we'll pan a close-up as well, there's some holes on the leaves, but it's not anything we're distressed about. We're actually really excited to see these holes. So this plant is the host plant for Pipevine Swallowtail caterpillars. They are black caterpillars and they have orange spots on top. So just in a brief minute, we're going to be looking for caterpillars on this plant specifically. Unlike most caterpillars who are solitary feeders, these caterpillars actually feed in groups. And a really unique feature of this plant is its striking pipe-shaped flowers that you can see in early spring. As we make our way down into the garden, I can say that I entered into this walkthrough with a fresh perspective and newfound appreciation for the garden. In my preparation for making this Garden in Every Season tour, I watched the earlier months' recordings, and oh my goodness, how this place has changed. I started my internship in mid-May and never got to see what winter or early spring might look like, but having those visuals of even what the garden looked like on May 1st, when the celandine poppies were essentially the only thing in flower, I can look at the verdant growth all around now and recognize the amazing transformation that's taken place here. While this plant does look quite alien, it is actually just a jack-in-the-pulpit whose leaves have been chomped off by a deer. Like all gardens, we do face pressure by wildlife. You can see its fruiting structure forming. That green glob will end up turning bright red, and the berries are actually quite palatable for birds. On the topic of wildlife, I thought I would let you guys in on what non-human visitors I've seen arriving in the garden this past month. Peter Rabbit is a common visitor. I see him just about every morning in the meadow. I saw a really beautiful doe the other day just grazing, unbothered by me on my morning walk. And as you guys could see at that garden entrance, we had to put up our bear sign because Mama Bear made her way through campus on to Woodland Way with her 3 cubs just a few weeks ago.
The bright red flowers you see are the bee balm that were just coming up last month. Now they're in full bloom and on their way out, so be sure to catch them before they're gone. Here we have Hiltane, a species of bamboo native to North America. In the wild, they form dense cane breaks by riverbanks that prevent erosion. Hiltane is culturally important to the Cherokee as it is used in traditional basket weaving. Conservation efforts are underway to restore wild populations.
I was so confident while I was filming this that I had been able to capture the ruby-throated hummingbirds that were just loving on this patch of bee balm. Bee balm really is the perfect plant if you want to attract hummingbirds because it has that tubular flower structure and they're red, which we all know is a huge bird attractor. Something that's really cool about the ruby-throated hummingbird is while it's not the only hummingbird you would be able to find in North Carolina, it is the only hummingbird that nests and breeds to the east of the Mississippi River.
This is a species of Joe Pye weed. It's a pollinator superstar that attracts butterflies, moths, native bees, and hummingbirds. Joe Pye weed is also considered deer-resistant and rabbit-resistant, so consider adding this friend to your own garden if you're having herbivore problems.
The crowning jewel of the garden right now are these Turks caps lilies. They have these really beautiful panicles of large orange flowers that really light up the green meadow. Their flowers have these distinct dark spots and deeply reflexed petals with a characteristic lime green or chartreuse center, which is actually its distinguishing characteristic. It may be confused with the Asiatic tiger lily or a Canada lily. Looking at the stem and the leaf formations, you can see alternate leaves as well as whorled leaves. This plant is butterfly pollinated, and if you are looking to incorporate Turks caps into your garden, just know it takes a full year for the seeds to form even a bulb, and it takes several more years for them to flower. So it's definitely going to be a long-term project.
Looking at this doll's eyes, we can see the fruits are starting to develop. As they mature, the fruits will turn white with black centers, resembling vintage doll eyes. Keep an eye out for this fascinating fruit as it changes color this month, but be careful, all parts of this plant are poisonous.
As we are approaching our bog and lake areas, you can already see the soil beginning to get just wetter and wetter. The plants that we're seeing are beginning to change from our woodland plants. Right now, we're just going to admire these beautiful fern specimens and look at this super nice patch of jewelweed that Tasmia is going to tell you a little bit more about.
Here we have jewelweed with its distinct orange flowers. These cone-shaped flowers are attractive to pollinators such as bees and hummingbirds. This plant is also called the touch-me-not because when you touch the ripe seed pods, they explode. Jewelweed can also be made into a salve and applied topically as a remedy for poison ivy.
This is just me admiring a newly fallen rhododendron blossom. Rachel did an excellent job of discussing these rhododendron in last month's garden tour, so definitely check it out if you have not. There is so much rhododendron in this area because it thrives in these acidic cove forests, where most herbaceous plants aren't able to do well as an understory cover. And it has really been such a treat to watch the flower clusters bloom, and they'll continue to do so into this month. In this part of the garden and just on the trails alongside the lake, we have been stumped all summer long about this super strange noise I'm about to play for you guys. My thought was always, is that the ducks Is it the ducklings? Is it some kind of mammal? I had no idea, but we would always hear it out pruning or doing trail work. And after some dedicated research, I finally found out that this is the call of the American bullfrog, which is the largest frog in all of North America. And they're going to keep calling up until early fall. So keep your eyes and your ears out while you guys are here. Get excited, guys. These turtle heads look like they are just about to burst. Turtle heads love wetland sites. Their deep pink flowers resemble turtle shells, which is where we get that common name. The flowers bloom in succession, and that helps to aid in cross-pollination. So as you can see, the lower blossoms are more fully developed than the upper blossom. The scientific name also nods back to that carapace-shaped flower. In Greek mythology, Cleone was turned into a turtle after displeasing the gods, and as you guys can see, Cleone is the genus for this species. These swamp roses are just teeming with life. This is a wetland rose that definitely likes to have its feet wet. Each flower has 5 notched petals with a really nice contrast of yellow stamens. The leaflets contain 7 leaves. The rose hips are very palatable to birds in the fall, and I think what makes this a really attractive plant to have in someone's landscape if you have a water feature is that its thorns are more inconspicuous than other rose species. I'm really excited to be able to share this plant with you. This button bush loves wet soils and full to partial sun. Its fragrant white tubular flowers occur in these really strange looking rung clusters that can even be compared to a full pincushion. They can be used for erosion control in your landscape or as a natural resources management tactic, and they're a great pollinator species. My lock screen was actually a black swallowtail feeding on a buttonbush blossom sitting on Lake Hartwell for nearly a year. So I really love this plant, and it's something that you can definitely see wildlife enjoying as well.
The dainty yellow flowers are St. John's wort. Last month they were just coming in, but right now they're in full bloom.
You know, I cannot help but just look at these water lilies and immediately think of Claude Monet. While we all know Monet as a famous Impressionist painter, he was also a really well-established horticulturist. It is said that he actually just grew tired of traveling to find inspiration to paint. So he purchased a little piece of property in Giverny in France, which is essentially now just a suburb of Paris. And he was able to create his own color palette within his garden, which I just think is beautiful and honestly a dream that we all have, right?
The goldenrods are getting ready to bloom. When they bloom, we'll see columns of showy yellow flowers. People often mistake goldenrods for the source of summer allergies, but those allergies are actually caused by ragweed pollen. Goldenrods are a good addition to vegetable gardens as they attract pollinators and other desirable insects while drawing harmful insects away from your vegetables. Tell us about your own garden harvest in the comments. While you're by the lake, you might notice a song sparrow perched atop a shrub singing. He is defending his territory against competitors, warning them to stay away. Song sparrows can be found in a variety of habitats, but they prefer to nest near open water. However, you might even find them nesting in your backyard. Song sparrows can produce up to 7 broods of chicks in one season. Here we see the buds of the hollow stem Joe Pye weed, which are about to bloom. When they bloom, they'll turn into a spray of pinkish purple flowers. These plants can grow up to 7 feet tall. Hollow stem Joe Pye weed has been used in herbal medicine for centuries, and in the 19th century, it could be found in herbalist drugstores across the United States. Well, that wraps up our garden tour for August. Thank you so much for joining us this time. It was such a pleasure.
Let us know what your favorite thing about the garden tour was, and let us know down in the comments below what you're most looking forward to seeing bloom in August. And I know I can say that I've had so much fun learning something new here every single day during my stay at the Highlands Botanical Garden, and I hope you guys were able to learn a little something from this video. We'll see you guys next month.
See ya!